Sacred stick with the surname Fu, if you don't give me an explanation today, believe it or not I will keep you stuck in this Jiangning city. Fu Mubai just woke up, she found 5 or 6 young people standing in front of her. The headed one with thick eyebrows and big eyes is quite tall and has fair skin. At first glance, he is the type that young little girls like. Fu Mubai keenly noticed something wrong with her current state, she frowned. What do you want me to explain? Fang Xinggui suddenly exploded with anger. What did you say I asked you to explain to you? When I came to you yesterday, didn't you say that there was some evil spirit between my eyebrows? There must be blood and light disaster within 24 hours. Now I am able to stand upright. Here, you are telling me, where should my blood and light disaster be? If you don't know anything, I will let you see today. What is the real blood and light disaster? As soon as S words fell, several people behind him all stepped forward, all staring at Fu Mubai with unkind eyes. Fu Mubai understood it. Dare to love this original body or a fortune teller? That would be regarded as her colleague. It's a pity that the original body's fortune-telling skills have obviously not been practiced home. No, customers who have visited before have come to ask for advice. Fu Mubai looked at Fang Xinggui a few times, and said slowly, I said you have a disaster of blood and light, I didn't say it wrong. Do you still dare to be tough? Fang Xinggui said incredulously, you open your eyes and see, I don't even have a hole in my body. Where is the disaster? The people behind him also agreed. That's right. Even sophistry at this time, I really can't cry without seeing the coffin. Don't talk nonsense with her, Xiao Fang, let's beat her and she will be honest. Fu Mubai, you usually lie to ordinary classmates in school, but now you lie to our Fang Xiao head, do you really know whether you live or die? Fu Mubai, it seems that the original body has done a lot of sins. Fu Mubai remained silent. When did you come to see me yesterday? 24 hours have been agreed, but now 24 hours have passed. Fang Xinggui was taken aback. Even if it hasn't been 24 hours, it's almost the same. He walked out of the teaching building when school was over yesterday afternoon, and happened to see Fu Mubai walking with his head buried. Thinking of Fu Mubai's reputation in school on weekdays, Fang Xinggui didn't know what was going on. When he moved in his heart, he stopped Fu Mubai and asked Fu Mubai to tell him his fortune. As a result, Fu Mubai gave him the life of a disaster within 24 hours. Was so angry that Fang Xinggui was about to beat the woman on the spot. Later, even though he endured it, he kept counting the time, just to wait for the time to come and slap Mubai's face with confidence. And this afternoon, Fang Xinggui has no class. He was worried about the so-called blood and light disaster and wandered around the school annoyingly, and then he saw Fu Mubai sitting by the school's water lily pond basking in the sun. Since he ran into the master, Fang Xinggui couldn't hold back any breath, so naturally he had to ask Fu Mubai for an explanation. Fu Mubai smiled slightly, since it is 24 hours, then there can be no more or no less. Even if you want to ask me to explain, you should wait until the time is up. Fang Xinggui knew that he was wrong, and still stubbornly said, it is less than an hour from the arrival point. I will not go anywhere this hour. I want to see where the blood and light disaster came from. Fu Mubai spread his hands. Fang Xiao takes it easy. Fang Xinggui, angry. Jpg Fu Mubai turned around and left. Fang Xinggui was startled. Where are you going for the surname Fu? Do you want to escape? The people he brought hurriedly stopped Fu Mubai. You are not allowed to go. Fu Mubai, Fang Xiao's skin is thick and thick in this cold day. I don't have the ability to bear it. I plan to go back to the girls' dormitory to rest. Why, Fang Xiao and your friends, is this going to follow along? You bullshit! Obviously you were already sitting here before I came. Yes, but I have enough northwest wind, I don't want to blow it now, can't it? Fu Mubai said innocently. Fang Xinggui, this goddess stick is still cute, who taught her? Seeing Fang Xinggui's eyes dry, Fu Mubai stopped staying and continued to walk to the girls' dormitory. Fang Xinggui's people stopped her again. These people are really annoying. Fu Mubai's face sank. Disperse. A few big boys were shocked by her yelling, and they actually got out of the way subconsciously. After a few of them recovered, Fu Mubai was already far away, and they were too embarrassed to chase after them. One of them, Pan Jinwu, asked, Fang Xiao, the magic stick with the surname Fu ran away, shall we chase it? What are you chasing after? Fang Xinggui flew over with an eyes lasher. Let's go back to the dormitory and wait until time is up. I want to see how she can shirk her then. Fang Xiaoying Ming. Let's talk about the facts when the time comes, and completely tear the face of the stick. It's just. A group of boys walked to the boys' dormitory, but when they went upstairs, Fang Xinggui slipped somehow and rolled down the stairs. What? Fang Xiao, be careful. Fang Xiao. Everyone was in a panic. www.mtlnovel.com. I couldn't respond, and I didn't catch Fang Xinggui. Fang Xinggui fell with a bruised nose and swollen face. He also broke his elbows and knees, oozing traces of blood. Fang Xinggui wailed, and the others were also terrified, so he hurriedly sent Fang Xinggui to the school hospital. Can walk on the road, but in everyone's mind, they all remembered what Fu Mubai said before. Fang Xiao's blood and light disaster, shouldn't this be the cause? This is too evil. Must be a coincidence. Although everyone is unwilling to believe that Fu Mubai, who is known as the Stick, is really in the middle of this day, but Fang Xinggui's fall from the stairs is really a coincidence. It is so coincidental that people really have no confidence. Go to do Fu Mubai again in a short time. At this time, Fu Mubai didn't know that Fang Xinggui had fulfilled the original fortune-telling words. But she is not worried that Fang Xinggui will find it back. Because she had already seen it just now, Fang Xinggui's brow was entwined with a trace of black energy. It was indeed a face of blood and light disaster. It seems that the original body is not a person who has no eyesight at all. It's just that this kind of aspect is relatively shallow. If Fang Xinggui can be a little more cautious in daily life after getting the original body's destiny, it may not be unavoidable. When Fang Xinggui really avoids the past, the original name of the stick will probably spread farther. It's a pity that Fang Xinggui couldn't sit still, and he came to provoke Fu Mubai, who had changed his core. Then his blood and light disaster must not be able to escape. After all, today's Fu Mubai, the soul in his body, is no longer the original sophomore, but the genius Fu Mubai, a rare encounter in the world of heavenly masters 300 years ago. Fu Mubai remembered that he was arresting a flower bird. The dragon failed to transform into a dragon, and he also got a whole body of scales. He had no hope of transforming into a dragon for life. Fu Mubai chased it for 3 days and 3 nights in order to take down the flower, and then led it to the Yangtze River, and it fought with it for 300 rounds, causing damage to each other. Just as Fu Mubai was planning to use his trump card, the flower dragon was cut out of the black water by Fu Mubai because of his evil deeds. Tian Li was originally going to split the flower dragon, but it came too fast, and Fu Mubai was still fighting with the flower dragon at that time. So that she didn't have time to escape, so she was affected by the slashed sky thunder. A sky of thunder struck down. Fu Mubai didn't know if the flower bird was struck by thunder, but her own soul was smashed into the body of this Fu Mubai. Speaking of this original character Mubai, it is not a simple character. Originally came out of a small village. Her parents died young, her grandmother was a great dancer, and her grandfather was a man who made paper and sold funeral supplies. The two of them can also be regarded as helping each other, and the business they started in partnership is not bad at all. Was originally influenced by his grandparents and wanted to become a fortune-telling master. It's a pity that Hajime couldn't find a good master, so she took the books related to fortune-telling that she had collected from stalls and bookstores, and the method of fortune-telling she found on Baidu. She stumbled and started her fortune-telling master road. From junior high school, Hara began to show pictures to the students around him. But she is not good at home, she can't see the good things, and can only look at the bad things. There is nothing good about this evil appearance. The mouth of a little girl in her family said that she was going to be unlucky. Sometimes it was so wrong that people got the fate and avoided it. Everyone felt that the little girl was afraid that she was not possessed by the demon. She learned those street gods, and wanted to cheat some money. After a long time, the original body got the nickname Little Stick, and no one believed her at all. The original body was not reconciled, and wanted to try again, and then the school invited a parent. After the grandparents of the original paper man who danced to the great goddess went to school, the name of the ancestral stick of the Fu family spread farther, and the original body was also excluded by the classmates. There is no way, I can't find the source of customers, the original body just stops, I can only learn honestly. Just like this, she was admitted to a type of undergraduate, Zhongning University. Of course, she is an art candidate, studying art. The reason for learning art from the original body is also very simple, it is convenient to draw symbols. After going to university, in a new environment, the original body can no longer hold back, and it starts to show people. She is surrounded by college students, but what are most of the troubles of college students? Is either studying or falling in love. As soon as the original body's ability to look at bad things comes out, it will either say that they will fail the exam, or say that the sweetheart couple is about to break up. Doesn't it cause people to complain? There are people who might fail the exam. After they got the fate, they just went back and stayed for a few overnight, and passed the exam smoothly. There are those who were half-hearted and really almost broke up, and they were afraid of being gossiped, so they immediately put aside distracting thoughts and concentrated on showing affection. The original appearance naturally cannot be fulfilled. After such tossing a few times, some former middle school classmates of Yuan Shen recognized her and promoted the brilliant deeds of Yuan Shen in middle school. The name of Yuan Shen, the sacred stick, was once again spread throughout the school. No. I want to say that things have become like this. No one will let the original body look at the face anymore. I am afraid that the original body will slowly die and give people the heart of fortune-telling. After hearing about this, Fang Xinggui, the manager of the management system, took the time to go to the cafeteria and gambled on the way of the original body. He had to let the original body give him his fortune. This is obviously to dig a hole to make the original body jump. In order to make this pit appear more real, Fang Xinggui also stuffed the original body with a red grandfather Mao. The original body begged for fortune-telling for so many years, and has never received a penny. Unexpectedly, Fang Xinggui, a customer who brought him to the door by himself, would cost 100 yuan. The original body was immediately excited, and he really showed Fang Xinggui's fortune-telling. This calculation is a disaster. Can make Fang Xinggui very angry. Then it led to such a thing as today. However, it was not because of Fang Xinggui that Fu Mubai was struck by lightning into the original body by accident. Because of the name of the stick, the original body was pointed out at school, and no one liked her even in the dormitory. Last night, the original body got up in the bathroom in the middle of the night, but was locked in the bathroom by the roommates. She was detained in the toilet all night in thin clothes. In the winter, wouldn't she catch a cold? The original body was just going to the school hospital to get the medicine back, and Fang Xinggui led someone to block the road, and then he changed the core dizzily. Just now www.mtlnovel.com Fu Mubai touched his forehead, still hot. What an idiot, he still didn't say a word when he was so embarrassed. Fu Mubai searched out the memory of the original body and couldn't help but cursed. It's her. If anyone dares to lock her in the toilet at night, she will definitely make the whole girls' dormitory upset. No, she won't be locked in the toilet at all. The original body has been squeezed out since he was a child. Even if he encounters such a thing, he can stand it. No one knows that he has lost his life. This is not an idiot. What is it? Said that, but now that Fu Mubai has accepted this body, he naturally has to assume the responsibilities and obligations of the original body. Amitabha, you and I have the same name and surname, and I have taken your body for nothing. This is both fate and cause and effect. Fu Mubai said while walking to the dormitory. It's better to have a smart brain. The reading is not decent. If this is heard by the people in the world of heavenly masters, I am afraid that it is not necessary to roll her eyes at her. In fact, Fu Mubai neither believes in Buddhism nor believes in them. In her opinion, these two methods are just easy to use. You can use whatever works. But when it comes to the form, the name of Buddhism and Taoism is used to be louder and more sincere. In fact, it is better to fool people. Tan Luki, who came out of the door, saw Fu Mubai's figure sharply, then turned around and sneaked back to the dormitory. Fu Mubai is back. Pang Jian and Luo Huiven, who were watching movies and manicure, were taken aback by her and almost didn't jump up. Luo Huiven even crooked his hand, and she cut off a piece of nail, and the original beautiful manicure was missing a piece of it. It looked ugly. What are you doing? I was shocked. You lost my nails. Luo Huiven looked at her damaged nails distressedly. She couldn't fix it when she looked from the left to the right. She was so angry that she threw the nail clippers on the table and almost didn't fly out. Pang Jian also said irritably, she will be back when she comes back. Her bed is here. Can we really send her out? Look at you. Tan Luki thinks about it too. She smirked and touched her head. I'm sorry Ween Wen, I didn't mean it. I didn't see her, I felt guilty. They also did some serious pranks on Fu Mubai before, but they did it the first time to lock people in the toilet in winter like last night. Originally they thought that Fu Mubai would be very scared, and then they would have fun to watch. As a result, I honestly stayed in the toilet all night without making a sound. The three of them waited so dull, they fell asleep unknowingly, and only remembered to let them go at dawn. Come out. Tan Luki is the least courageous, and it is inevitable to have a guilty conscience after doing bad things, especially after seeing the suffering master himself. You have a guilty conscience. Luo Huiven rolled his eyes and said, I have known each other for more than a year, what kind of temperament Fu Mubai don't you understand? 3 sticks can't make a fart, also for such a person. Can make you feel guilty. Before she finished her words, the door of the dormitory was suddenly kicked open. There was a loud bang, and the 3 of them trembled suddenly. Which door is closed in broad daylight? Fu Mubai strode in, are you doing something shameful? Tan Luki. Luo Huiven. Pang Jian. Depend on. Is this pair of ruffians still the Fu Mubai they know? Could it be that she was completely blackened after shutting her up overnight? Poor boy has turned into a black spider since he was young? Pang Jian's teeth trembled, and she smiled embarrassingly, Mubai, you are back? Look at what you said, what else can we do in the dormitory, shameful things? Next time you don't make such a joke. Fu Mubai glanced at her faintly, and was suddenly startled, is this blood and light disaster so common now? Another one. Compared with the girl in front of me, Fang Xinggui, who had gathered to block the way before, was nothing. Fang Xinggui's so-called blood and light disaster is a pediatrics, and it doesn't hurt the bones. But the one in front of me, his forehead is as black as a small dark cloud, and his shape is quite beautiful, but the implication is really not very good. Pang Jian was taken aback for a moment before reacting, and was immediately furious, Fu Mubai, are you ill? There will be blood and light disasters at all times. Today I will let you taste what it is like blood and light disasters, believe it or not. Tan Luki and Luo Huiven also looked at Fu Mubai with complicated eyes. It's not that they insisted on squeezing this roommate, it was this roommate, they were so angry, can they not be squeezed out? Fu Mubai's throat was also choked. This is the first time she has been scolded and sick. I think back then, countless people knelt down in front of her, just begging to let her see the next phase and give 2 fateful words. Unexpectedly, after these 300 years, she rarely took the initiative to show her pictures, and she was even scolded and sick? The world has really changed. People's hearts are not old. Then I really don't believe it. Fu Mubai gave Pang Qian a disdainful look. I don't know what is good or bad, she deserves to be unlucky. Pang Qian was so angry that she also forgot what kind of feminine temperament she wanted to maintain, so she rushed to pull Fu Mubai's hair. Tan Luqi and Luo Huiven have bright eyes. Catch it! Catch it! Just scratch her hair. Fu Mubai was speechless. How many years have passed? Why do the girls still have these old routines when they start? Grabbing, pinching, and pulling the hair 3 times, it's almost a unique job handed down from the ancestors. Fu Mubai casually stretched out his hand, and grabbed Pang Qian's fangs and claws. Before Pang Qian could react, Fu Mubai held the slender wrist and threw it out. Pang Qian leaned back uncontrollably, thumped, and fell into a squat. Tan Luqi and Luo Huiven looked dumbfounded, and they looked at Fu Mubai dumbfounded and speechless. Pang Qian wailed, clutching her and crying to the sky, Fu Mubai, I'm fighting you. Speaking harshly, it was a pity that Pang Qian didn't get up at all, and she was still lying on the ground. Fu Mubai clapped his hands with disgust. What smells your hands? Why are they so smelly? She complained that she was still worried, and she went straight to the sink to wash her hands. Pang Qian, your hands stinks. Your whole family's hands are stinky. Fu Mubai herself still has a fever. Since the roommates have been honest, she didn't rush to settle the old accounts with these people, so she climbed into her bed and went to sleep. Tan Luqi and Luo Huiven dared to help Pang Qian up carefully, and they were still afraid to come out, for fear of awakening Fu Mubai. Pang Qian suffocated the fire as she watched. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com whispered, Fu Mubai didn't know what medicine he took wrong today, his temper is so bad. I said, you really are so afraid of her. I did not do the previous thing alone. She dared to do it with me today, next time it may be your turn. Now that you speak so hard, if you have the ability, you can increase the volume a little, so that Fu Mubai can listen to it with his own ears. The 2 slandered in their hearts, but no one dared to say this. We are not afraid of her, it's not kindness. Luo Huiven comforted perfunctorily. Tan Luqi glanced at her silently, without speaking. Who told her before that she was afraid of a ghost? Isn't it the same now? It really is the mouth of the plastic sister. No one can believe it. Fu Mubai didn't know that the 3 people in the dormitory who were as good as their sisters had already separated from each other. She slept beautifully and had a dream. In his dream, Fu Mubai saw the flower dragon that he was chasing and killing again. And this time, she beat the flower flood into the water, crying on her knees and shouting to her grandmother. In the end, the flower flea was still cramped by her peeling skin, and it was completely wiped out in 3 or 2 strokes. Whether there is a chance to return to reincarnation, she still said not aloud. This dream is done, Fu Mubai's whole person is refreshed, very good. Even a fever and a cold are all cured all at once. Fu Mubai was awakened by the ringing of the telephone. Fortunately, her dream of chasing and killing the flower dragons has been finished. Otherwise, she is afraid that she will be angry with a personal blood and light disaster, so she will teach this guy who disturbs her dreams how to be a person. Fu Mubai didn't open his eyes, and he touched the phone to connect him, and asked angrily, who? It's me, it's me. A flattering voice came over the phone, Master Fu, I'm Fang Xinggui. Fang Xinggui? Why does this name sound familiar? Fu Mubai thought of it, and soon remembered. Isn't this the one who was told by the original body to have a disaster, and then came to find the difference? Hearing the other party's voice is numb. Could his blood and light disaster have been fulfilled? It turned out to be Master Fang. Fu Mubai woke up soberly and said, "What's the matter? Master Fang is asking me for trouble again." "Don't dare. The previous things are all misunderstandings. Master Fu, please don't care about me." Fang Xinggui said slyly, "Before I didn't know Taishan, I accidentally offended you. In order to apologize for you, I booked a table banquet at the King Kong banquet, and I also asked Master Fu to show his face. Kongwang Banquet is a famous 5-star hotel in Jiangning City, and it is not far from Jiangning University. It can be reached within 10 minutes by walking. Kongwangjian is still very famous among the students of Jiangning University. When everyone is joking, they say that if you can go to Kongwangjian once in your life, it will be worth it. It can be seen how famous this Kongwangjian is." Fang Xinggui was able to host Fu Mubai at the Kongwang banquet, and he was also full of sincerity. Fu Mubai was really moved when he heard, "Okay. Since Master Fang is so sincere, I will definitely go." I think although she was famous in her previous life, she was also a frequent dining and sleeping place to cast demons and slayers, and she really didn't enjoy the life of a rich person. Now that someone took the initiative to send her to the door to treat her, of course she couldn't miss it. "Then I will be waiting for you under the girls' dormitory," Fang Xinggui said immediately. Fu Mubai didn't think much about it, and agreed directly, ready to get up and change clothes. As for Pang Qian and others, they were no longer in the dormitory, and Fu Mubai didn't worry about the whereabouts of these 3 people at all. Hanging up the phone, Fang Xinggui, with a band-aid on his face, glanced at the girls' dormitory coldly, and gritted his teeth secretly. He doesn't really believe that Fu Mubai will show people the picture. If she really had this ability, wouldn't she be famous long ago? Can it be recognized by the entire school as a magic stick? As for this time, it must be a coincidence. It was his own bad luck that made Fu Mubai blind cat hit a dead mouse. Fu Mubai is a blind cat, he is not a dead mouse. Pan Jinwu cautiously popped his head from behind Fang Xinggui, and whispered, "Fang Xiao, you really want to invite Fu Mubai's magic stick to dinner? Still go to the King Kong banquet." He has been with Fang Xinggui for more than a year, and Fang Xinggui has never taken him to such an expensive place. "I was able to go this time, but it turned out to be the light of that stick of Fu Mubai. It's just a meal, and it won't cost a lot of money." Fang Xinggui sneered, "I want to try again to see if this Fu Mubai will show up to others. If she has real skills, I will apologize to her. What's wrong? But if she is just a chance, then I will let her spit it out to me for profit." "So this is a..." Pan Jinwu felt comfortable all at once, and said hurriedly, "Fang Xiao is still great. This time she will definitely not have any luck." Fang Xinggui waved his hand impatiently and asked him to go aside, "Stop flattering me. With such nonsense, when I just fell down the stairs, why didn't you just stop it?" He used to think that many of his followers seemed to be very cool and handsome, but since he lost his face in front of these followers, he saw that these followers were very unpleasant. There is no use at all, he spent so much money for nothing. It's just that Fang Xinggui has become accustomed to being pompous, and he is also embarrassed to suddenly dismiss his followers at this time. Since you can't catch people, it's always okay to lose your temper. Pan Jinwu's heart jumped and he hurriedly defended himself, "Xiao Fang, it's not that we didn't want to pick it up just now. It's not that the incident happened suddenly. We didn't have time. You don't know. When you fell just now, I had something in my heart. How uncomfortable. I can't wait for the one who fell down to be me." Fang Xinggui looked at him speechlessly, "Okay, I take your thoughts. But in the future, you still don't say such things. This is too disgusting. If Pan Jinwu is a big beauty, he might be able to move his heart by saying this. By the way, this kid is a short and stubborn little fat guy, he almost didn't let him spit it out overnight. And this kid's name, is enough to make people think. Hey, the attendants also need quality. He doesn't want anyone to be a tall and strong man, but he can't always have a nasty guy like Pan Jinmu dangling behind him, right? If this makes people accustomed to it, don't you think you're such a person? Fang Xinggui couldn't help shivering. You can't ask for these people, and when he waits for him to pick some more good ones, he will drive them all out. Pan Jinmu didn't know that his position as a fellow was already in jeopardy, but he also saw the disgust in Fang Xinggui's eyes, and hurriedly flattered him with a few words. Then, under Fang Xinggui's impatient eyes, he moved quickly and retreated to Fang Xinggui. Behind. The other classmates glanced at each other, and they all gave Pan Jinmu a disdainful look. Everyone is a follower. www.mtlnovel.com. This kid looks mediocre, but a mouth is really good for flattering. With this kid, can they still get ahead in front of Xiao Fang? Sooner or later I have to kick this kid away. Fang Xinggui didn't wait long before Fu Mubai came down. In the big winter, Fu Mubai wore her only down jacket. This was the first time she spent the winter in Zhongning last year. For the first time in her life, she felt such a cold winter, so she gritted her teeth and went to the wholesale market to buy it for herself. A down jacket, more than 300 yuan. Just such a down jacket, Fu Mubai can't bear to wear it easily, and usually uses his old cotton jacket to keep out the cold wind. If it weren't for this, she wouldn't have been locked in the toilet all night, and she would have been frozen for life, and changed the core by mistake. Today's Fu Mubai, of course, will not let himself be frozen alive because of a piece of baby clothes. She unceremoniously put on her warmest clothes, thinking in her heart that she would have to buy 2 more winter clothes when she looked back, otherwise this winter would really be impossible. It is a pity that the original body is a pauper, and the entire deposit on his body is less than 200 yuan. With this little money, she still has to finish the whole semester, which also includes the train fare for her hometown during the winter vacation. Can't go on like this. The top priority is to make a good sum of money and improve your life. She has been poor all her life, but she doesn't want to be poor again. Fang Xinggui is Fu Mubai's current moneymaker. So, after coming out of the girls' dormitory, Fu Mubai's gaze towards Fang Xinggui was shining, as if he had seen a human-shaped vault. Fang Xinggui was a bit cool when she saw her. How does he feel that he is being targeted? Young Master Fang is waiting in a hurry, right? Fu Mubai asked with a smile as he approached. Fang Xinggui was agitated again, and subconsciously shook his head and said, No, I just came here. Followers. Fang Xiao actually lied? Fu Mubai. If the blush on young Master Fang's face was not so obvious, perhaps she would believe it. But these are all trivial matters. A cold wind blew. Fu Mubai shrank his neck and put his hands in his pockets. Isn't it about eating? Young Master Fang is not leading the way. Fang Xinggui gave in hurriedly, Master Fu, please. My car will stop over there. Oh, this humanoid vault still came by driving a car? Fu Mubai felt more satisfied. She followed Fang Xinggui to the parking place. Pan Jinmu and others were dumbfounded. Fang Xiao, what about us? There are quite a few of them here, and no one can stand Fang Xinggui's car. A few days after Fang Xinggui invited Fu Mubai to the King Kong banquet for dinner, they thought they would be able to get it all, but in the end the 2 of them had to go by car, so what should they do? To say that Kong Wanjian is not very far, it is not impossible to walk. But where can you keep up with the speed of driving? Is it possible that after they walked to the King Kong banquet with great pains, can they still call Fang Xinggui, who had arrived long ago, to pick them up again? What is that like? After being reminded by several people, Fang Xinggui seemed to have just reacted. To these followers, he didn't have the kind of temper to Fu Mubai. It's almost time for dinner, let's eat too. Fang Xinggui waved his hand impatiently, I'll contact you if I have something to do later. The implication is that you can go wherever you should go. Going to the King Kong banquet for dinner has nothing to do with you. Abandoning this sentence, Fang Xingwei didn't mean to listen to a few people's answers, leading Fu Mubai and went away. Pan Jinwu and others were left in despair in the cold wind. I dared to engage in love for a long time, but this dinner tonight is not theirs at all. Then they waited at the gate of the girls' dormitory with them. What is it for? Fang Xingwei didn't feel that there was anything wrong with his decision. Is what it is. Who would take his escorts to a high-end hotel like Kongwanjian for dinner? Anyone outside the school can find a small restaurant to send them away. When Fu Mubai got in the car, he unconsciously turned his head and glanced at the girls' dormitory, and found that Pan Jinwu and others were still standing there. These people still looked at Fang Xingwei's parking direction, as if waiting for Fang Xingwei to change his mind and bring them there. There were quite a few people standing together, but they looked a little pitiful inexplicably. Fu Mubai couldn't help but laugh. I said, young Master Fang, where did you find such big babies? They shouldn't be from our school, right? A student who can be admitted to Zhongning University does not have any bad academic performance. It must be a little embarrassing. How can you put down your face and be a follower to appear like Fang Xingwei? They are all people from the vocational and technical college opposite the North Gate. Fang Xingwei mentioned it with confidence. This batch is not of good quality, I will pick another batch when I look back. Fu Mubai. It sounds like it's like picking a follower, it's like picking a girl. Why do you have to bring a follower? Fu Mubai asked curiously. Fang Xingwei was rarely asked and fell down. He thought for a while, and hesitated, for the prestige. Fu Mubai. Well, this reason is so powerful that it is impossible to refute. Fang Xingwei was very dissatisfied with Pan Jinwu and others at the moment. He didn't want to mention them at all. He took the initiative to change the subject. Master Fu, what do you think of my car? This year's Global Limited Edition, I finally got it. Fang Xingwei drove a big red sports car. The color is particularly gorgeous, the shape is also particularly cool, the scissors door is erected like two big wings, not to mention how eye-catching. When Fu Mubai and Fang Xingwei walked all the way, there were no students who met on the road without staring at the car. Fu Mubai does not know the brand of this sports car, but he can tell that this car is very expensive at a glance. And the style is bold, exactly the same as Fang Xingwei's own personality. Excellent. Fu Mubai heartily gave Fang Xingwei a thumbs up. Fang Xia really has a vision. The rich is the boss. Why? When can she afford to drive such a luxury car? Forget it, if you want to do so much, let's mix it up with this big meal in front of you. Master Fu is also very discerning. Fang Xingwei, who is praised for his car, was particularly proud of him. At this moment, Fu Mubai seemed to have a lot of pleasing to his eyes. However, Fu Mubai's generous and hearty temperament doesn't seem to be the same as what he knew before. Could it be possible that she was showing her the picture and finally got the spotlight, and she had the confidence in her heart, and this waist also stood up? I hope her confidence can be kept like this. www.mtlnovel.com. Otherwise, it will be good looking. Fu Mubai didn't know what idea Fang Xingwei made. But just by looking at Fang Xingwei's face, she knew that this kid was unkind. This big meal tonight may be a hungmen banquet. But she Fu Mubai has traveled north and south for so many years, and she has done a lot of things that are not afraid of the sky and the earth. Is she still afraid of a banquet? The two had their own thoughts, and soon arrived at the door of King Kong Yan. Got out of the car, Fang Xingwei walked inside, obviously a frequent visitor here. The hotel manager knew he was coming, and had been waiting at the door of the hotel a long time ago. Seeing someone at this moment, the manager greeted him with a busy and attentive smile. Younger Fang, the old room has been reserved for you, just waiting for you to come. He also quietly looked at Fu Mubai a few times. This young girl is pretty good, but her family is obviously not very good. The most valuable thing about her is the cheap down jacket. But what is surprising is that this girl has clear eyes and is calm when she enters the Kongwang banquet. She is not like ordinary people. When she comes here, she looks around with curiosity, showing that she is a calm person. Fang Xinggui is a regular guest of their hotel, and often makes dinners at Kongwang banquet. However, Fang Xinggui has never brought a girl's house alone, and this one is the first one. I just don't know, what is the relationship between her and young Master Fang? Fang Xinggui didn't know that the hotel manager had already pondered so many things in such a short period of time. He waved his hand to the manager casually and said in a low voice, "Then I'll take someone up first. Du Zihua and the others will be here for a while. You just let them find me directly in the old room." So there are still people coming. Fu Mubai wondered in his heart. Co-author Fang Xinggui also invited a helper. It seems that this big meal tonight is really a feast for hung men. Fu Mubai didn't care either, and slowly followed Fang Xinggui upstairs and into the private room. This private room is quite big, and there is a super large round table inside, and it's not too crowded to sit down for 20 or so. The decoration in the private room is also very magnificent, and under the shining of the big crystal lamp on the ceiling, it looks even more golden, just like the word rich was written before. Ming Fu Mubai first entered the hotel lobby before. The decoration style in the lobby was quite normal, looking low-key and luxurious. Everywhere was obviously extravagant. Unexpectedly, the decoration style of this private room is so different from that of the lobby, it looks like it is not the same hotel. After turning his head, Fu Mubai wanted to understand. No matter what decoration style the hotel chooses, isn't it all to cater to the preferences of the guests? Apart from anything else, Fang Xinggui definitely likes this style of decoration like the rich gold. Otherwise, this private room that is incompatible with the hotel's decoration style will not become the old room that Fang Xinggui said. "Master Fu, please take a look at the menu first, and just order what you want." Fang Xinggui pretended to be generous and gave the menu to Fu Mubai. In fact, he wanted to see Fu Mubai's jokes. He is also wondering now. Didn't it mean that the family conditions of this stick were not good? Of course, she can also tell from her shabby clothes. But it's just such a poor person. After entering the high-end place of Kongwanjian, people didn't see any trembling look, let alone a little curious, just like entering a school cafeteria. This made Fang Xinggui's plan to give Fu Mubai a chance to get rid of him. Knowing that Fu Mubai's reaction was so deserted, he might as well find a small restaurant to send her away. In fact, what Fang Xinggui didn't know was that Fu Mubai was not uninterested in this modern high-end hotel. The main reason was that she wanted to make money on Fang Xinggui, so she had to show her master demeanor. Otherwise, how could she make Fang Xinggui willing to pay? Is the money coming out? This can be considered a crooked hit. The menu of Kongwanjian is also very exquisite, a thick one, like a book. If you just look at the material and don't read the words, this menu can be put on the bookshelf to fill the scene. After opening it, there is the name of the dish with the picture inside, so that people don't know what the corresponding dish looks like when looking at the fancy dish name. Moreover, the pictures of these dishes are very bright and clear, so that people can't help their tongues just by looking at them. I hope I can get a whole book right away and taste it. Although Fu Mubai herself came from 300 years ago, she is also used to this style of giving the dishes a high-end, elegant name. It's a pity that she is a pauper now. She was also a pauper before, and she has never tasted so many delicious dishes. Looking through this menu, Fu Mubai really felt that his trip was really not in vain. Can I really order anything? Fu Mubai asked with blinking eyes. Fang Xinggui enjoys the feeling of spending a lot of money in a treat. Besides, it's just a treat for a meal. How much can it cost? He waved his hand in a huff, of course. Master Fu, please don't be polite to me. Fang Shao is Fang Shao, it is not ordinary. Fu Mubai gave Fang Xinggui a thumbs up, then closed the menu. Let's have a copy. What? What is the name of this dish? Fang Xinggui didn't react for a while, and said blankly, what did you say? Before Fu Mubai had time to say it again, there was a burst of laughter at the door. Ha 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 ha. Fang Xinggui, you also have today. Fu Mubai looked up, and saw three big boys walking in with a smile. They were about the same age as Fang Xinggui, and they looked very good, and they were probably of the same origin. At this time, the boy who walked in the front couldn't smile. He walked directly to Fang Xinggui's side and patted Fang Xinggui's shoulder vigorously, but his eyes were staring at Fu Mubai with interest. This, Master, right? Master, this is for you to take a copy of the menu. Vegetable. Don't use your hands, don't think I won't be angry. Fang Xinggui impatiently patted Du Zihua's hand, suddenly woke up, and looked at Fu Mubai incredulously. You want a whole book of dishes? Can you finish your meal? This is really taking him wrong. Fu Mubai pretended not to understand Fang Xinggui's unfinished words, and said very seriously, why, no? Isn't this the first time I have come to this kind of high-end hotel? I don't have much experience, so I just want to see and taste everything. Taste. Of course, today's Fang Shao treats guests, and Fang Shao decides what to eat. If you think you can't afford a whole book, no, if it's not appropriate, then you can order a few dishes. www.mtlnovel.com. Fang Xinggui looked at Fu Mubai speechlessly. The names of the dishes on this menu, including dim sum and drinks, there are hundreds of them. If this is really a whole book of dishes, I am afraid that the big round table in front of me is full, and it may not be enough. Fu Mu's vernacular means that he didn't have enough money in his pocket, so can he recognize it? Certainly not. The three people who had just entered the house also looked at Fu Mubai, who was righteous and confident, and felt that this girl was simply stupid and bold, and she dared to mention any request. Okay, just go to the entire book. Fang Xinggui gritted his teeth, but now we are advocating CD operations, and I hope Master Fu can also respond to the call. Fu Mubai nodded casually, then thank you Master Fang. It's a big deal to turn around and draw a few more Xiaoshi talismans. Are you afraid that you won't be able to solve this whole dish? Du Zihua and the three had seen enough jokes, and then sat down one by one. Master Fu, right? Du Zihua directly sat next to Fu Mubai, and introduced himself with a smile. I am Du Zihua, and Fang Xinggui is a baby boy. But my grades were close, and I was not admitted to Zhongning University. I was in the east of the university town. Go to a university of science and technology and study finance. The other two followed and introduced themselves. I am Li Yanzhang, I am also studying finance at the University of Technology, and I share a class with Du Zihua in a bedroom. I am Peng Hanyi, studying computer at the University of Science and Technology. Fu Mubai nodded to several people. Hello, my name is Fu Mubai and I am studying fine arts at Zhongning University. You can call me by my name directly, you don't need to call it Master Fu. After all, she is also a young man now, always enjoy the treatment of a young man. This mouthful of master talismans, others thought she was how old she was after hearing it. When Du Zihua was interested in Fu Mubai, he immediately changed his mouth. Okay, then I'm welcome. Fu Mubai, you are also welcome, just call us by name. Call this matter, even if it is agreed. Fang Xinggui suddenly said with dissatisfaction, why can they call their names directly, what about me? Fu Mubai looked at him speechlessly, of course you can also call my name directly. Then why didn't you tell me before? Fu Mubai looked dumbfounded, I forgot, can I? A big man is so caressing, he deserves a treat. Fang Xinggui is still dissatisfied, he is about to fight again, the waiter has already started serving dishes. And from the beginning of the food, it has not been interrupted since then, and it was that Fang Xinggui was not given a chance to speak. After all, is for a whole book of dishes. Although this kind of request is rare in Kongwanjian, it is not completely uncommon. It's just that people want so many dishes, and they usually have to entertain a lot of guests instead of just 5 people eating. The hotel manager was originally worried that the food would be served too fast, and there would be no time to remove the plates from the table in a short time, and the table would not fit. What is surprising is that there are empty discs in the private room from time to time, and the problem he was worried about has not happened at all. The manager was still wondering. He didn't dare to go to the private room to check the situation. He only secretly pulled a waiter who was in charge of serving dishes and asked carefully, "How come the plates in the private room are removed so quickly? They really finished eating?" The waiter looked sluggish and said in a daze, "It's all finished. The main reason is that the girl is too good to eat, and the chopsticks in her hand have not stopped. After a while, she can clear a whole plate and then change it. Next set." "What?" The manager almost thought that his ears had misheard. "You said that the girl emptied the dishes that were removed." The waiter nodded mechanically. "It's her." "Manager. Is there such a edible girl? Shouldn't it break people?" In fact, not only the manager has this question, Du Zihua and others also have this question. When Fu Mubai said that he was going to serve a whole book of dishes, Fang Xingui agreed with anger. Du Zihua and the 3 also had the mentality of watching the excitement to see how the girl who was blown up as a master by Fang Xingui would end up in the end. "I didn't realize that they were really enough to eat, and they looked like they hadn't eaten enough from beginning to end." Afterwards, Fang Xingui and the others lost the mood to eat. All of them put down their chopsticks and stared at Fu Mubai. Fu Mubai can be influenced by a few of them? That's definitely not possible. People can eat whatever they want, and eat as much as they serve. Not to mention, Kongwanjian's reputation is indeed not built up, and it makes sense for others to ask for a high price. The taste of this dish is really good. It's better than everything Fu Mubai has eaten in his life. Can't you stop eating this one? After more than an hour, Fang Xingui really couldn't stand it anymore, and winked at Du Zihua. Du Zihua nodded to express his understanding, and handed Fu Mubai a drink. "Come on, student Fu, first drink some pear soup to moisturize your throat and eat slowly. The pear soup is rich in juice, but the color of the soup is very clear, which makes people look appetizing." Fu Mubai took it and took a sip. The taste is relatively sweet and has a faint fruity sour taste. It should be filled with rock sugar and white fungus, and it is the kind that has been boiled for a long time, so the taste is just right and slippery. Without getting tired. "Thanks, classmate Du." Fu Mubai thanked Du Zihua, and ate with his chopsticks. Du Zihua. He didn't know what the master did, but he looked like he was reborn as a starving ghost. Otherwise, where can ordinary people eat so much? "I can't hold my stomach." Seeing Fu Mubai eating endlessly, Du Zihua had to talk to Fang Xingui. "I said Fang's second child, did you fall into the pit today? Why are you still hurting your face?" If he changed the usual way and lost such a big face, Fang Xingui would definitely be embarrassed to come out to meet people. But this time, he immediately said with great interest, "What nonsense? Did I fall into the pit? I obviously fell down the stairs." Du Zihua and the 3. "Falling down the stairs, I might as well fall into the pit." "Then you are so miserable." Du Zihua said, "Nothing serious happened, right? The bones are not hurt, right? It's just a little skin trauma, how can it be as serious as you said?" Fang Xingui waved his hand impatiently, and said excitedly, "You don't know, if I hadn't fallen this way, I wouldn't know Fu Mubai. What a master of vision!" Du Zihua and the 3 again. "Fang Xingui shouldn't have fallen this time, just broke his brain, right? See what he said all this?" Fu Mubai, whose name was mentioned, finally raised his head from the table full of food, and smiled perfunctorily, "It's just a coincidence. I'm just lucky." Now it's Fang Xinggui's turn to be speechless. www.mtlnovel.com. He fell and became Fu Mubai. Good luck. Why does this sound so wrong? What the is going on? Fang Lao hurry up and talk about it. Du Zihua became interested and urged. You will die if you call me by name. Fang Xinggui glared at Du Zihua. A bite of a second child, rushing to add a blockage to him, right? Success, I will try my best to change it. Du Zihua said insincerely, let's talk about you first. Fang Xinggui immediately became excited again, you are not from our school. I don't know how famous Fu Mubai is in our school. I went to see Fu Mubai yesterday, but Fu Mubai said that I was 20. There will be a disaster of blood and light within 4 hours. Who am I? I am young Master Fang Can I believe this kind of nonsense? As a result, I was stuck in the 24 hours today, and I just took it inexplicably. I fell down the stairs, and I was thrown into a cloud, and I saw blood on the spot. You said, Fu Mubai can't see this accurately. As for Fu Mubai's reputation at school, it was because she had never spotted it. Fang Xinggui didn't plan to say it. Du Zihua and the three. They thought it was something extraordinary, but that was the end? That's it. It's really accurate. Du Zihua raised a thumbs up tired, and turned his head to look at Fu Mubai. Student Fu, you know how to look at it. Then can you show us some too? Look. Li Yanzang and Peng Hanyi also echoed. Fu Mubai glanced up at the three of them, and said slowly, of course it is possible to look at the picture. However, this disclosure of heavenly secrets is inherently hurtful, and I am not showing it to anyone. Fang Xinggui couldn't help it, and laughed out loud. Du Zihua looked at him blankly, what, you really fell your head when you fell, right? Laughing fart, you. Fang Xinggui's smile stiffened. Depend on. If it weren't for the sake of growing up together since childhood, Du Zihua's mouth was broken, he would have to throw people into Zhongning River. Du Zihua ignored Fang Xinggui, turned his head and smiled again, Student Fu, who I understand, is really more cautious. You can't just look at it casually. Then look at what we have to do before you can invite Student Fu. Show us the pictures. Fu Mubai glanced at Du Zihua, but said nothing. These guys, they seem to be born rich, they are really ignorant. Ask someone to look at the picture, then shouldn't you give me some money? I want to ask someone to look at the picture, which celestial master would be so uncharacter. Fu Mubai silently took an empty cup from the side, then fumbled it in his pocket, and finally found a coin. She threw it in, making a loud, crisp sound. Fu Mubai pointed to the cup, and then glanced at Du Zihua. Du Zihua suddenly realized, and began to touch his pockets up and down. Cannot do it. He brought a money clip when he went out, but besides cash, there were bank cards and credit cards in his wallet, and there were no coins. Du Zihua quickly looked at Li Yanzang and Peng Hanyi, and asked in a low voice, you two, have you brought coins? The two touched their pockets, then regretfully shook their heads at Du Zihua, no. They are not the ones who use coins. How can you carry these things on your body? Touching the pockets this time is just going through the situation to prove that they really didn't bring this stuff. Du Zihua felt quite regretful. Finally, after thinking about it, he could only take out a 100 yuan bill from his wallet, and tentatively looked at Fu Mubai and said, Student Fu, none of us have the habit of carrying silver coins. Look at this bill. Is it okay? Fu Mubai's heart finally let go, she nodded quickly and said, of course. I'm a good boy. She's really afraid that Du Zihua and the rich guys touched their pockets for a long time, and finally she found a few coins and threw them into the cup. Then she really couldn't cry anymore. She took out the coins by herself, which was just a demonstration, saying that if these people wanted to see the photos, they would give the money first. I never thought that this action caused Du Zihua to misunderstand her, and they really found her for coins. Was so scared that she was about to come out of this cold sweat. Thank God, thank God, thank you bosses for not having the habit of bringing coins. Du Zihua rolled the $100 bill into the cup. Fu Mubai took the cup very easily, and she naturally put the money in the cup into her pocket. Fu Mubai started work as soon as the money was credited. She stared at Du Zihua's face for a while, and then said, "Student Du has a full sky, and the rhino bones on the yintang are obvious. This is a typical look of rich and noble. People with such faces can be regarded as high officials. Business can also make a fortune." These words are all good things, but Du Zihua's smile fades as he listens. He was born rich, and everyone can see it. With such a family background, he doesn't do anything in his life, so he must still live a life of rich. What else can I say? Du Zihua hadn't expected much of Fu Mubai's so-called appearance, but he heard Fu Mubai's words suddenly changed, and said, "However, although the wealth of Du Mubai is good, it is not rare after all. It is really rare. It's still classmate Du, your prosperous wife." What? Several big boys on the table didn't react, and looked at Fu Mubai blankly. "Fu Mubai, what did you think of Du Zihua?" Fang Xinggui asked immediately, for fear that he had misheard it. "Want wife's face?" Fu Mubai said decisively. Fang Xinggui still couldn't believe it. Wang's wife's face? Is that the Wang's wife I understand? The one of Wang's wife? Fu Mubai solemnly nodded, "Yes, this is it." There was silence in the private room. Suddenly, Fang Xinggui, Li Yanzang, and Peng Hanyi laughed with their stomachs in their hands, and pointed to Du Zihua with a look of schadenfreude. Du Zihua's face was dark. He knew that he would not be able to stop the three of them at this time. He only looked at Fu Mubai speechlessly and said, "I said classmate Fu, I didn't offend you, right?" It's so good, it showed him the face of a prosperous wife. Knowing that Fu Mubai would be so unreliable a long time ago, she might as well just say the good thing in front. "No." Fu Mubai said strangely, "Why are you asking that, classmate Du?" Fang Xinggui and the three of them laughed louder in an instant, and they almost burst into tears as they watched. Du Zihua. What else can he say? Can he ask Fu Mubai to show him the face of Wang's wife? Is he deliberately entertaining him? Fortunately, Fu Mubai reacted quickly and hurriedly explained, "Does student Du think that Wang's wife's face is not good? Then you are wrong. This face is really rare. www.mtlnovel.com. It's much harder than your rich and honorable look, classmate Du." Du Zihua also said that this is not a fool. Where did Fang Xinggui find such a master? He looks like a magic stick, it's almost the same. I have to say, Du Zihua is really the truth. If Fu Mubai hadn't changed his core, wouldn't he be the famous magic stick in Zhongning University? Fang Xinggui laughed forward and backward, and said hurriedly, "Fu Mubai, you can tell us about this Wang's wife's appearance. We all want to hear it. Du Zihua deserves the arrogant appearance of the eldest son and second son, but he turns out to be a prosperous wife. This fun is enough for him to laugh for a whole year." Fu Mubai ignored him, only looking at Du Zihua, the so-called prosperous wife. The focus is not on the wife, but on the prosperous. If you want to prosper your wife, you have to prosper yourself first. If you can't even be prosperous, what can you talk about? What about Wang's wife? Student Du not only has a rhinoceros bone, but also a rhinoceros bone. It can be seen that not only will he be rich, but in the future, he will be able to complement each other with his significant other and create greater wealth together. Not only that, but also on his eyebrows. Raising and lowering the end of the eyebrows, these are typical H-shaped eyebrows, which shows that Du's personality is also very good. When women get along with you, they feel very comfortable. This is a symbol of Luanfeng and Ming. It means that after Du gets married in the future, it will surely be harmonious. In this way, the family and business are not wrong. Isn't that good? Du Zihua's eyes became brighter and brighter. He doesn't think that Fu Mubai is fooling him now, he just thinks Fu Mubai's words are really good. Even if she is really a magic stick, just aiming at the pile she just said, the $100 just now is not a waste of money. Fang Xinggui was still happy. Du Zihua, this is all right. You are rich and rich in the future, and your wife will be rich in the future. You are going to heaven. By the way, do you have a girlfriend now? Have you thought about it too soon? What about getting married? Du Zihua leaned on the back of the chair with his legs upright. He glanced at Fang Xinggui disdainfully and said, "Do I have a girlfriend? What matters to you? If you have this idle mind, why not worry about yourself first? Anyway, classmate Fu has already shown me the picture, and I will do it for the rest of my life. There's nothing to worry about, but what about you? You're not so good, and I don't know what it will be like to find a girlfriend in the future. But don't we both start at the same starting point, but the end point is too far apart, you will have no face then. See me." Fang Xinggui was blocked for a long time and could not speak. This guy, his mouth is still so annoying. What about his prosperous wife's appearance? He has to promote him well. Li Yanzang and Peng Hanyi felt that Du Zihua made special sense. What happened to Wang's wife? This aspect sounds a bit funny, but it has a good meaning. The two of them were busy learning the same as Du Zihua before. They pulled an empty cup and stuffed $100 in it. Then they held it in front of Fu Mubai. "Look. Money doesn't make a bastard." Fu Mubai received the money and showed them the pictures. Li Yanzang and Peng Hanyi's faces are actually similar. Both of them belong to the category of good family backgrounds, and they are born rich and wealthy. However, the faces of the two people are relatively peaceful, and they don't have the appearance of being rich and wealthy like Du Zihua, but in general they are still good. Everyone originally thought that Fu Mubai might just blow everyone up and it would be finished, but when he saw Peng Hanyi's face, Fu Mubai frowned abruptly. Peng Hanyi had a sudden heart at the time, and said in a frightened voice, "Student Fu, is there anything wrong with my face?" When everyone heard this, they all looked over. Du Zihua even said, "Student Fu, just say what you have. We have not lived for so many years, and there is nothing we can't afford." He actually doubted whether Fu Mubai was playing mystery, and he didn't dare to gamble on it. Fu Mubai stared at Peng Hanyi for a while, and then smiled slightly, "It's nothing serious. It's just that I saw that classmate Peng's eyebrows are a bit reversible, I'm afraid that I have committed a villain without knowing it." "I don't know Peng. Have you offended anyone recently, classmate?" "The villain?" Peng Hanyi touched his head a little naively and said, "No? I have been in school most of the time recently, and I get along well with my classmates. He is handsome and rich. He is very generous when he is with boys or girls. He often invites his classmates to eat and drink. In the eyes of classmates, it is estimated that he is like a boy who disperses money. Isn't it good to be popular?" Fu Mubai did not delve into it, but just reminded, "Anyway, classmate Peng should pay attention to it lately. This offends a villain, and the consequences are big or small." Peng Hanyi responded, but didn't say much. "I finally finished the meal, it was already past 10 o'clock in the evening. You know, they have already started serving food before it's dark. Who knows that this meal has been eaten for several hours? The most exaggerated thing is that Fu Mubai actually finished all the dishes on such a fresh table." When several people came out of the King Kong banquet, Fang Xinggui and others' eyes still fell on Fu Mubai's belly from time to time. "Still looks quite flat, not like a person who has eaten too much. Didn't know so much food, how did she put it in her belly?" Fang Xinggui also asked Fu Mubai in a fake way, "It's so late, shall I send you back to the dormitory?" Fu Mubai saw his insincerity and was not angry, so he only smiled and said, "No. It's only 2 streets. I can just walk back by myself, just to eliminate food. Even after having a big meal tonight, I made an extra 300 yuan, which is more than the original deposits. This Fang Xinggui is indeed a human-shaped vault, and he gives food and money. She has to coax the boss, of course, so that he can give her money for a long time in the future. Fang Xinggui remembered the whole book of dishes that Fu Mubai had eaten, and then looked at Fu Mubai's unchanged belly. For a while, he didn't know how to reply to Fu Mubai's words. When Fu Mubai left, Du Zihua hooked Fang Xinggui's neck and said, "I said Fang Xinggui, where did you find such a big baby? I don't know if she will look at it, but it's true that she can eat." I said, "She has a black hole in her belly, right?" Fang Xinggui did not expect this at all. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. He originally planned to have trouble with Fu Mubai at the dinner table, but then Fu Mubai's ability to eat shocked all of them, so that he completely forgot about this matter, and finally really talked to Fu Mubai. Bai became friendly. What happened this night? He looked like a dream in retrospect. She is from our school. She is just a sophomore this year, and she seems to be from the art academy. Fang Xinggui frowned, and she has a great reputation in our school for the way she looks like. By the way, she is not. Have you said that Peng Hanyi has committed a villain recently? Peng Hanyi, think about it, what have you done recently that is easy to commit a villain? Everyone's eyes all fell on Peng Hanyi. Peng Hanyi started to be confused again. I really haven't done anything lately. Oh, yes, what? Didn't you start registering for the National University Robotics competition some time ago? I have been busy with this recently. I also found a few classmates. The team, I plan to do a good job and see if I can get a place in the game. If it wasn't for you guys who turned around and called me to ask me to come out for dinner, I would definitely still be in the laboratory at the moment. Robot contest? Du Zihua didn't quite understand this, but since it is a competition, there must be competition. Does your school have many teams participating in this competition? Du Zihua asked. It should be a lot. I haven't asked about the specifics. Peng Hanyi explained, our school is originally the University of Electronic Science and Technology, and many students are still very interested in robotics competitions. And this is the registration of their own group. How many people have formed a team and want to participate in the competition? If you don't inquire about it carefully, you won't be able to figure it out at all. Fang Xinggui and others all persuaded Peng Hanyi to be careful, don't let people stumble in this robot competition, that would be too frustrating. Peng Hanyi's heart is also abrupt. When he turned around, he checked the laboratory, and then checked all the members of the group. Fu Mubai didn't know that his casual words added so much work to Peng Hanyi. At this moment, she really wandered all the way back to school, and then back to the dormitory, just in time for the auntie in charge of closing the door. You girls, in this cold weather, you don't go back to the dormitory earlier one by one, you don't have to leave your head outside and blow the cold wind. Aunt Shuguan looked at the waves of female students who were returning to the dormitory while pinching time. He kept talking, I don't like to wear more, there is a layer of stockings on my legs, what's the point? I have to be sick. The girls laughed happily at the auntie, but they didn't say anything. After a while, they disappeared. Fu Mubai who fell behind was not revealed. Aunt Suguan was still looking at the direction where the girls ran away, shaking her head and sighing. When she saw Fu Mubai who was wrapped up tightly, her expression eased a lot. Fortunately, there are still a bunch of silly girls. A clever one. Go back to the dormitory and go to sleep, be careful not to get up tomorrow morning. Fu Mubai smiled and thanked Aunt Suguan, and then walked inside. Back to the dormitory, Fu Mubai took the key and opened the door. Did not open. The door is locked inside. Obviously, the roommates who had disappeared before have returned. Otherwise, this door cannot be locked. They played tricks before and shut Fu Mubai in the toilet overnight. Unexpectedly, after only one day, they had a new trick, planning to keep Fu Mubai outside the dormitory for the night. With Hera's cowardly courage, he couldn't enter the dormitory. It is estimated that Hara could bear it down. It is possible to squat at the door of the dormitory all night. What a pity! What these roommates don't know is that the Fu Mubai today is not the Fu Mubai he used to be. Fu Mubai knocked on the door calmly, and shouted, "Open the door." No one responds in the dormitory, just like no one. Fu Mubai clearly heard the voices of her three roommates discussing quietly, and she was a little gloating. Fu Mubai was not polite, and directly raised his foot and kicked the door twice, and his voice also raised, "Open the door." The three people in the room were taken aback by the sudden movement. Tan Luki said tremblingly, "Is Fu Mubai kicking the door? What can I do?" Pang Qian has suffered from Fu Mubai's hands today, and she is holding fire right now. She immediately sneered and said, "She loves to kick the door, so she kicks the door. She has the ability to kick this door open, so she can come in naturally." Before he finished his words, he was kicked twice on the door panel again, accompanied by Fu Mubai's sound of slamming the door. "Quickly open the door. Is there anyone in the room?" Tan Luki was more and more frightened, but Pang Qian smiled happily. "Fu Mubai, isn't she very bullish today? Isn't she still locked out now? She deserves to be cold outside all night." Luo Huiven frowned slightly. Fu Mubai's reaction, it was different from what they expected. Of course, Fu Mubai surprised them very much during the day. It's just that they didn't expect that Fu Mubai's change could really happen so quickly, as if he had changed himself. The people in the house haven't moved yet, but the people in the dormitories next door are so noisy that they open the door to watch the excitement. Seeing that the person knocking on the door was Fu Mubai, some others said impatiently, "You keep your voice down. Don't you know if this is a little sleepy? Are you embarrassed to quarrel with so many people? These girls can't sleep until the middle of the night, they are fooling ghosts." Fu Mubai sneered in his heart, but said in a panic on his face, "No, our dormitory is locked, and no one responds to any knocks. Isn't there something wrong with the people in the room? I can see right away. Call the police." Everyone was stunned when they heard this. "Call the police? Is it so serious? Someone came out right now, what the is going on? Are you sure there must be someone in your dormitory? Could it be that you made a mistake?" Fu Mubai stared at the other person twice, and recognized that this person was the party secretary of the original class, and his name was Yu Suinan. Yu Suinan's professional class scores are very good, and her paintings have won some national awards. In addition, she has a good temper, and everyone in the class is very convinced of her, so she still has a bit of prestige in the class. It's definitely not wrong. Fu Mubai said decisively, "If there is no one in the house, how could the door be locked? Look at the door I have just knocked on for so long, and even you all heard the sound, but there is still no movement in the dormitory. I think there must be something wrong with the people in the house. This can't be delayed. If you are not careful, it will be 3 lives." Tan Luki in the dormitory heard Fu Mubai's loud talking voice, and tears almost came down. "What should I do? Fu Mubai will not really want to call the police? When the police come, what do we say what?" Pang Qian was also dumbfounded. www.mtlnovel.com. She really did not expect that Fu Mubai would come up with such a trick. Still calling the police? She didn't believe it anymore. Could Fu Mubai really couldn't guess? Did they lock her out of the door on purpose? Fu Mubai clearly said that deliberately to anger them. The most hateful thing is that Fu Mubai's words really hit their sore spots. Where would they dare to make Fu Mubai really call the police? But now I don't know how many people are outside the door, they are too embarrassed to open the door and go out. Pang Qian was annoyed, and blamed Luo Huiven. "It's all on you. What do you think you have made? Not only did it fail to be regarded as Fu Mubai's joke, now we are all about to become a joke for the whole building. Luo Huivan said with a black face, now I know to blame me. When I came up with this idea, didn't you all say okay? Why didn't you remember that it would be like this? Let's talk about it, today's idea. I came out, but when you shut people in the toilet last night, I was the last one to know. My idea today is also inspired by what you did last night. Now that the door is blocked, I don't know how if it's done, don't blame anyone. Pang Qian choked for a while. Yu Suinan in the corridor seemed to believe Fu Muibai's words. She came over and thought for a while and said, maybe they are sleeping too heavy? Try knocking on the door again. If no one answers, then we call the police. Fu Muibai stepped aside and gestured towards Yu Suinan. Yu Suinan didn't treat her politely either, and directly raised his hand and knocked on the door, is anyone in there?